Nostrdam is powered by Albi, Yakihona, and NextBlock.
As was said earlier, my name is Ian Reis. I'm here representing NextBlock. NextBlock is a company that my wife and I have started about 30 days ago. And to start my talk, I'm going to play a quick 5-minute video, just laying out what we're calling our manifesto of what we're trying to accomplish at NextBlock.
We are users of the world's greatest addiction machine, social media. My fellow addicts, algorithms wield great power over our attention. They accelerate the influence of propaganda, wreaking havoc on our perceptions of reality. While they bluntly call us users, we should call them what they are. Corporations harvesting attention on social media, the Chaos Cartel. This cartel makes $500 billion exploiting us and perpetuating chaos around our digital and actual world. We've been for sale under the lie of free. We are the product. They've been selling us. With a monopoly on our attention, the cartel is able to exploit two other groups: advertisers and creators. In a free market, people and businesses should have equal access to attention. But advertisers are limited by the cartel's high fees, disenfranchising smaller businesses from competition. Creators are the unpaid or underpaid labor force of social media. Their reach and ability to generate revenue from their content is solely at the discretion of the cartel. This marketplace controls and exploits the commodity of attention only for the benefit of the cartel. With new technology comes new opportunities. Powered by Bitcoin and Nostr, NextBlock is the first and only social media company where people set the price of their attention to view advertisements through an opt-in, decentralized attention marketplace. On NextBlock, the Chaos Cartel can't harvest your attention against your will. You are not a user to be sold. You are a citizen with rights. Let's discover how much our attention is worth together.
Okay. So, little dramatic intro there, but we're trying to get everyone's attention, ironically. But who's ready to actually fight the Chaos Cartel? Does that resonate with you guys, the Chaos Cartel? Cool, here's how we're gonna do it. NextBlock is simply a social media company that pays people to watch ads. If anyone asks what NextBlock is, that's all you have to say. You don't have to get into Nostr or Bitcoin or anything like that. And with a decentralized marketplace, the possibilities for this are actually endless. I've been working on this idea for about a year in my head. And when I first envisioned the attention marketplace, I thought it would be something that clients just added as like a no-brainer, like DMs or media like uploading, because every Nostr client could have a default monetization option from day one. You don't have to use it, but it would be there. You'd have fewer early adopters, perhaps, if you were showing ads, but they can opt out, so they can't be that upset. And of course, as a user of NextBlock, you get paid for your attention, but the client that made that impression that got you paid, they would get paid as well. Yeah, sorry, my notes here. I still believe in that vision, but I also trying to talk to the Nostr community and get this idea spread around. I realized that in order to get this going, I have to do it. I have to prove that it can work. And then other people will probably join in on this experiment. NextBlock is going to develop and integrate the attention marketplace as its core business model. And we're open source it as a NIP so that anyone can join the network just like Bitcoin. This will actually help us create a global attention marketplace where not only NextBlock or Damus, for example, but companies all over the world can either add new ads into the marketplace and or show ads from the marketplace. So this is how the marketplace actually works. It's very simple. First, to opt in, you would just set the price of your attention for 60 seconds. This is something that will go onto your kind 0 as a field that any other Nostr app can see what you've set as your price for your attention. thus signaling to the Nostr network that you've opted in. Then about every 10 minutes, if there's an advertiser who's willing to buy your attention at or above the price that you've set, NextBlock will prompt you to watch the ad. If you don't want to watch the ad, you don't watch the ad. But if you do watch the ad, after it's done, you get paid. Obviously, we're paying you in Bitcoin, but users will obviously be able to pick their currency denomination that they want to actually view this in. NextBlock will encourage them to view it in Bitcoin terms, but to keep people on board with the idea without having to understand Bitcoin, we think it's important that they can keep it as close to home as possible. And of course, if you don't like the ad, for example, if someone shows you a McDonald's ad, you would just say, no, thank you. I don't want to see an ad from that advertiser again. This data will be made available on the entire Nostr network, so any other client who might want to show you an ad will also see your preferences for ads, and it's up to them as the client to make sure they don't show you things that you said you don't want to see, because if you as a client show them something they didn't want to see, that's on you, not the attention marketplace. But you're probably wondering, like, how do we make money? How does NextBlock make money? Well, we charge the advertisers a fee. We're calling ourselves a social media company, but also we have an agency that's going to charge advertisers fees to put ads into this network. The percentage of that we'll figure out later, but the most important part is, if anyone here is familiar with Fountain and how Fountain does ads, Fountain app, the majority of the ad spend that the advertisers give to us is set aside to pay out people for the price that they set for their attention. So yeah, that's how we make money. But here's the thing. Like, I know the Nostr community is very against ads and advertisers, but also we know that this business model works. This is how everything that we use comes to us. This is how we get all our games. This is how we get all our television. This is how we get everything. We get advertised to, it's just not on our terms. And what NextBlock is doing is allowing people to set the terms of what you can advertise to me and how much it's going to cost for you to interrupt my attention in my day. If you're not willing to pay that price, then I can just go on about my time without having to worry about, in the middle of watching some documentary, seeing a commercial for Viagra or whatever ad Google wants to show me tomorrow. But most importantly, this is how the Chaos Cartel funds their attention harvesting, right? Like, this is what they do. It's just that we're not a part of that transaction. So how do we fight the Chaos Cartel? Simple. We just opt out, like in Bitcoin, right? Everyone in Bitcoin says opt out, opt out. Nostr needs to adopt that same model, but we need to offer people something that they're opting into. And what I believe they're opting into is a very identical experience to social media as they know it. But in this social media, because there's no algorithm and you have more control over what you see, when I walk away from this experience, I actually feel better because I didn't see anything that I didn't want to see. But on top of that, we know that everyone is on social media, right? It's the biggest pool of attention out there. But what we don't know is how valuable the attention of all those people are. The social media companies know this, right? We don't. And so with NextBlock and the attention marketplace, we will actually be able to see the price of attention on a going rate as a market price, the same way we would watch the price of Bitcoin. And once everyone can see the going rate for the price of attention, I think we'll start to value our time more, and we'll start to value, like, why am I on this other app that doesn't actually pay me for the attention that I'm putting in? And on top of that, perhaps maybe doom scrolling will stop, right? Like, doom scrolling, no one's zapping doom scroll, like the world is ending post. You're not going to zap that. I mean, maybe if you agree with it, you'll retweet it, but like, who zaps that stuff? But on top of that, NextBlock is trying to create a shared experience. So because we're tying the ad frequency to the Bitcoin blockchain, everyone will roughly see an ad at the same time. This is another way that we can all be reminded that we've been on the internet. Social media companies don't actually remind you that you're on the internet. It's part of the attention harvesting that they do. So think about it. In this model, there's no reason for anybody to get you addicted to social media. We don't need to keep you here. We only need you here so that your attention is not on their platform. As long as you take your attention away from their platform, you're devaluing them, and you're actually establishing the value of our collective attention that we've been giving them for the last 10 years on social media. It's a lot. $500 billion worth, apparently. With the attention marketplace as the core of our business model, NextBlock can fund the development of different social media experiences while putting money in the pockets of people who are just choosing to opt out. So that is the strategy, right? Okay. But I need you guys to nerd out with me for a moment, because I think we talked about a little bit of this in the other talks. As I said earlier, we're not trying to keep this revenue stream all to ourselves. We want to open this ad network up to anybody, developers, anybody who sees value in what we're proposing. And I understand this will require a significant amount of coordination with the Nostr community, right? It's not going to be like everyone does it at once. But the general idea is, if people have opted into the attention marketplace, they didn't just opt in NextBlock, they've opted in to the protocol. Everyone that's on the Nostr protocol can see that you've opted in to this attention marketplace. And they can choose to use that bit of information that you've signed saying, yes, I've opted in, to give you an experience that perhaps they make money with. Developers in the community can choose to integrate in various ways. So maybe you want to start an agency that goes out and convinces brands to pay you to put ads in the network, similar to what NextBlock is going to do. Maybe you want to build a digital vending machine that's a pseudo algorithm that figures out what's the best ad to show someone every 10 minutes. Maybe you want to build like a unique interactive experience to show an ad outside of Marketplace for reasons that I can't think of off the top of my head, but creativity will flow there. But most likely you'll be a client developer who wants to have a way to have a continuous revenue stream to fund the development of your client. And so with the attention marketplace, client developers that choose to display ads to people who have opted in can and will be included in the payout as well. The more distributed the ad network is, the better. And this is the most important part. No particular client will be isolated for implementing ads because the choice was on the individual, not the client itself. I think that's the most important part of what I'm proposing here, is that no one has to do it if they don't want to, but if users can earn money on client A versus client B and they opted in, they might choose to use the client that will actually get them paid. But even though they're displaying the ads, they might not actually like the way you display the ads to them. And that's going to probably be the biggest part of all of this. Here's a link to the NIP that I've been working on. It's a very rough draft, but we can talk about it later if you want to. A lot of cards here, guys. But we can't blame the cartel for all our chaos, right? As we said in the opening video, censorship of social media is a big deal, but it's also a mystery. We don't know what's actually been censored or why we've actually been censored. And at NextBlock, we want to change that. So if and when anyone asks us to censor content, which you know they will because we're a company, we'll inform all the citizenry. And if we're legally required to comply, we'll inform the citizenry. And we believe that people should know if censorship is being imposed on them. But what the people that are trying to impose censorship don't realize is that it doesn't actually matter on Nostr, and we'll get into that later. But we're looking at this as malicious compliance. You want us to take something down off the NextBlock relay? Fine, I'll take it down. It's on 20, 30 other relays. I don't control. What do you want me to do? But we have nothing to hide. So we're going to show this to all of our users/citizens. They have something to hide, as we learned from the Twitter files and everything that went down during COVID. So we can fund our business without being exploitative. That's a huge win. But can social media actually work without an algorithm? How can it keep people informed and or entertained? Oh, I messed this card up. How can it surface new and interesting content for people over and over again? Well, we have features for that. Because as I said, NextBlock is a social media app. NextBlock's features were inspired by urban visionary Salvador Rueda Superillo project in Vitoria-Gasteiz, Spain, also known as Superblocks. Has anyone heard of the Superblock project in Spain? I got one nod, cool. 20 years ago, that city was like gripped by traffic and congestion, and it was literally at a crisis point. And so they stepped in and they implemented a plan of superblocks with pedestrians, bikes, and public transport networks built around them. Today, more than half the residents of that city walk everywhere they want to go as their primary form of transportation. And the Superblock project grouped people and places together intentionally to include green spaces and thoughtful design. And we think this is how we can fix social media. So let's begin with the concept of the digital world. Imagine your phone is a door to the world and you open it. What do you see? You see your block. Your block is the 21 people that you choose to see when you first open your digital door. This is a not so subtle nod to the classic MySpace top 8. Shout out to Tom. Your block is capped at 21 people because Bitcoin. And on your block, you only see those people. When you look at their posts, you only see replies from the people on your block. Again, why? 2 words. I think we all know this one. Reply guy. In all seriousness, we believe blocks solve the problem of bots. And we believe the design of Nextblock can solve the reply guy problem and many other versions of spam that we will experience on the Nostr protocol on the client side. I know we're working a lot on the relay side, but I think filtering on the client side is also a big part of this. So you've walked out your door and you've seen all the content from the people on your block. You could say that you've reached the end of your block. So in typical city form, where do you go once you've left your block? You go to your neighborhood. And this is my favorite feature. The neighborhood is where, sorry. This is your neighborhood. There's no limit to the number of people you can have in your neighborhood. But it isn't your follower list. These are your neighbors. Who do you want to see when you're walking around? Which corners of the internet are your favorite? Now that we have neighbors, we can leave the concept of followers in legacy social media where it belongs. Nextblock is trying to create a more humanistic language to describe what's going on in social media. And I think with things like Reply Guy, we see that it's very easy for people to push themselves on us, when in all honesty, like, if I don't know you, I shouldn't be able to see your stuff. But at Nextblock, we have a new pattern, which is called, you go out in the world, you meet strangers, you add your strangers to your contact list. If you like what they post, you add them to your neighborhood. And if you love what they post, you add them to your block. And at every level, you are basically in control of what you see. If you've listened to our podcast, you know my wife and I are very different people. We joke that we have completely different internet. My side is stuff like Bitcoin Twitter, obviously, and hers is not. Sometimes we want to share new accounts that we found or funny inside jokes that we want each other to be in on. It's a fun way to stay connected in this obviously digital age. But it gets complicated because she doesn't use the apps that I use. I mean, she uses Twitter, she uses TikTok. I don't use TikTok. And we also have different phones. So if you want to see someone's version of the internet, they have to hand you their phone or hand you their login credentials. On Nextblock, I can hop into Mandana's neighborhood and see the internet how she sees it. This is something that will enable what we're calling a shared experience. When you visit someone's neighborhood, you will see all the same posts in the same order as everyone else who's present, thus creating said shared experience. And it'll actually feel like you're in a digital neighborhood with people coming and going, people dropping off, saying goodnight. These are the only posts that you'll see from these people, so it'll actually feel like people are coming and going across your digital feed. Imagine what this can do for Nostr adoption. New people don't have to build their social graph before being able to enjoy Nostr. They can just go to the neighborhood of someone who's popular or someone that they already enjoy following on whatever social media app they're coming from, and they can immediately experience Nostr in a way that feels as familiar to them as wherever they're coming from without having to add an algorithm to figure out what they might want to see. Following the natural progression again of first they'll meet a stranger, then they'll add them to their contacts, then they'll make them their neighbor, and hopefully add them to their blocks. Oh, here's a funny one. Did you guys know that content creators actually have to pay to take classes to get like certificates from social media companies? Did anyone know that? I didn't either. Mandana, she taught me this while we were writing this speech. This is crazy, right? Like they literally sell you classes on how to make content for their platform that the algorithm gods will then possibly pick up as worthy of their time and be going viral. This is just disrespectful. Content creators are forced to jump through hoops and churn out content at rates that like no human being should actually have to do if your content is actually producing value. Content creators are actually the media of social media, right? Like that's where we get our stuff from. Not everyone in here is a content creator. I don't know, maybe you are. But not everyone in here is a content creator. On Nextblock, social media is not gamified. We believe in value for value. If your content brings value, then people will give you value in return. Obviously through Zaps, shout out to Will. And content creators are the digital editors, content curators are the digital editors of the internet, from fashion blogs to meme accounts. We all enjoy the fruits of their labor. Now Nextblock gives them a place to sell ads in their digital magazine that they curate. That's because when you're visiting someone else's neighborhood and an ad that you've opted into fires, you as the visitor will be but you will have to pay a portion of your payout to the neighborhood owner. This is for their job of curating the content that you're enjoying on Nextblock. Let's get into the habit of paying for things. When everyone talks about how we're gonna fund stuff and no one wants to pay for anything, how are we gonna fund stuff? We pay for the things that we want. If you wanna see certain types of content, you give the person money. If you wanna see certain projects succeed, you give the project money. With Nextblock and the attention marketplace, we can actually do both at the same time without having to be explicit. It'll be more the developer's choice on whether or not this is a revenue stream that they want to integrate into their client or whatever product they're building. On Nextblock, on day one, you get paid for your attention. And if you bring value to the experience for others, you get paid as well. And last but not least for neighborhoods, instead of an all-ruling algorithm, we're doing something called vibrancy. And this is one of the bounties that I put up at the start of the talk today. How do you measure vibrancy in a digital space? It must be a combination of posts, replies, zaps, and number of people present. We plan to use this measurement to score and compare neighborhoods so people can see what neighborhoods are fun to visit at what times during the day, and at the same time, make the neighborhood vibrancy equation public. So everyone will know what's going into this equation and they won't actually have to pray to the algorithm gods, why is my neighborhood not vibrant? With algorithms, you're told what is the optimal time to post something on social media. And at Nextblock, you will see the data for yourself and you can make your own decision. So we walk from your block, we walk through your neighborhood, and now we've walked a long time and we've left our neighborhood. So where are we now? We're in the city. The city is your discovery page. But for everyone here, it is the Nextblock relay. Let's just call it what it is, right? The city is the Nextblock relay. To bring order to all of the traffic that's going on this relay, I know Will probably understands this more than anyone else. You can't just look at everything that's going on. So we have, keeping with the city urbanism vibe, we have districts and intersections. And so a district is just a single hashtag and an intersection is the combination of two hashtags. This gives you the ability to actually, whenever you're using Nextblock, no matter what part of the app you're in, to tell someone where you are in the app. I'm in the art district, or I'm at the intersection of basketball and music, or whatever. On Nextblock, where you travel to is always a place that someone else can go to and share that same experience. So now, we've walked to the edge of the city, and there's obviously more out there, right? Like the Nextblock relay isn't the only relay in Nostr world. So as we continue to walk, we walk into what we're calling the wilds. And the wilds are called that because this is the distinct separation between what Nextblock, the company, can control and what we can't. So when our users, citizens, I have to learn how to say that, when our citizens walk into the wilds, we will actually notify them that you are going into a place that nobody controls. Definitely not us. If you go out there and you see some things that scare you, well, you can just come on back home to your block. So in short, with these features and the attention marketplace, all we need is the people who use Nostr to set the price of their attention. If you're in, go to joinnextblock.com and sign up to set the price of your attention and join the beta. Thank you for the opportunity to share this company and idea with you guys here today. The people will be the algorithm. This is how we beat the chaos cartel. This is how we win.
Nostrdam is an initiative promoting the Nostr protocol by organizing one-day conferences alongside Bitcoin events, running booths, creating online content, and hosting meetups. Our goal is to connect developers and users to drive Nostr adoption.